Hello everyone, welcome to this short Prideway refresher course. This session will cover setup reduction, mistake proofing and promoting innovation. We'll start by recapping setup reduction. Setup refers to the time spent preparing for the next product or service, such as gathering, assembling or cleaning items. Setup reduction aims to reduce this amount of time in order to increase capacity and reduce the lead time. Step 1. Understand your process. In this example, the theatre has 100 minutes to see patients. During this time, it takes 10 minutes to prepare for the next patient to come in, and it takes 15 minutes to perform the procedure on each patient. In its current state, the theatre can only accommodate 4 patients. Step 2. Establish the goals for your setup reduction. Remember to choose goals that are specific and measurable, such as reducing walking distance or reduce the time it takes to prepare supplies. Step 3. Separate internal from external setup. Here we can see the 10 minutes of setup time has been broken down into internal and external setup. Internal setup refers to the preparation that has to happen at that time. In this instance, 6 minutes of cleaning need to take place in between each patient. External setup refers to preparation that does not need to be done right then and there, or setup that can be done in parallel by another operator. Here we can see the other 4 minutes of setup time is spent organising supplies for the procedure. Step 4. Convert internal setup to external setup. Now we are going to look at moving some of the setup so that it does not interfere with the process. Here we can see that the setup has become parallel. Someone else can be preparing the supplies outside the room for the second patient, whilst the first patient is still in the room. Step 5. Improve internal setup. To improve internal setup, we can look at gathering and preparing supplies ahead of time, using parallel operators, or creating kits to ensure we have what we need when we need it and in the correct amounts. In keeping with continuous improvement, be sure not to just make internal setup external, but aim to improve internal and external setup further, otherwise we're just moving a problem. Step 6. Improve external setup. In this example, the supplies have been moved closer to the point of use. There are now only 3 minutes of setup time compared to 10 minutes of setup time previously. This can be achieved by carrying out a 5S to ensure what is needed is where it is needed. And the theatre now has time to see an extra 2 patients in the same amount of time. Here are some additional examples of setup reduction. In the first example, collecting information on a spreadsheet prior to a phone call converts the internal setup to external setup. In the second example, by having the nurse collect the patient while the doctor reviews the notes, the overall setup is reduced by having dual operators. Now we'll move on to mistake proofing. You'll remember from the 7 wastes that defects are mistakes that go uncorrected. So the purpose of mistake proofing is to reduce or ideally eliminate those defects. One element of mistake proofing is inspection, which involves comparing against a known standard. Here are the different levels of inspection. At level 1, there is no inspection. An example of this could be you receiving a different meal from the one you ordered at a restaurant. At no point before reaching your table has anyone realised it's the wrong meal. A level 2 inspection is an end-of-line inspection. This time your incorrect meal has been noticed by the waiter before it is brought to your attention. The chef had already spent the time preparing the meal, only for it to be wasted. A level 3 inspection is self-inspection with judgment and involves checking your own work, for example with a checklist. A level 4 successive check inspection is having someone else check your work. Self-inspection with warning at level 5 involves something alerting you to the fact that you're about to make a mistake. For example, when typing a document, if you click on the X in the top right corner, a warning message pops up to ask if you're sure you want to exit without saving. This does not stop you from accidentally pressing yes, but it lets you know that a mistake could be about to happen. A level 6 inspection with control means this particular mistake cannot happen. For example, you cannot put a diesel pump into a petrol car. Another element of mistake proofing is standard work. Standard work is an agreed, repeatable sequence of work for each operator, which meets patient or customer demand. Standard work allows work to be done in the best way every time. When you have variation in the way things are done, such as requesting tests, for example, there is inevitably going to be waste included. Standard work allows us to see this waste and also specifies responsibility and expected time of completion for a particular task or activity. Don't forget, Taiichi Ohno said, "Without standards, there can be no improvement." Another element of mistake proofing is visual controls. Visual controls are methods and mechanisms to help us visually manage our environment. Here we have a few examples, including the shadow board in Lou's drawer, which has outlines for where each item should be. Other examples of visual controls are traffic lights, stop signs, fuel lights in a car, and alert lamps. Here is an example of another type of visual control, a Kanban. This particular Kanban is a purchase Kanban, and its purpose is to alert us that something needs to be bought or ordered in. When used correctly, Kanbans are very effective tools at preventing inventory waste and overproduction from occurring. And-ons are visual controls that give you a status update or warn you about something. For example, if you're expecting a delivery, you might get a text message to let you know your parcel is 5 minutes away. Visual controls require clear guidelines for use. They also rely on standardized and prompt responses. For example, if you understand that a red light means stop, but for someone else a red light means accelerate, you're going to have a problem. It's all well and good having visual controls around, but if people don't respond accordingly, they may as well not be there. Here we have some devices. Devices prevent mistakes from occurring, which you'll recall is a level 6 inspection. These devices physically won't allow you to make this particular mistake. As mentioned earlier, an example of this kind of device is a petrol pump physically not being able to fit into a diesel car, or as you can see here, the chemotherapy ports only allow for one kind of needle to be inserted, meaning you cannot accidentally insert the wrong one. Now we are going to recap promoting innovation. Creativity can be described as thinking flexibly in order to generate new and interesting ideas that other people may think are useful. Innovation involves the deliberate attempt to implement some of these creative ideas. Promoting innovation techniques allow us to generate many new ideas. We can then develop and test these ideas to get an understanding of what will work, what might work, and what won't work, until we get to a point where a few of those original ideas can be implemented, as seen in this funnel diagram here. Mental valleys can be described as our usual or natural ways of thinking. To escape from these mental valleys requires creative thinking and the ability to see that we are in a mental valley. We need to rearrange our thought processes to actively escape from the mental valley. From this, we can then start to look at other possibilities. One of the promoting innovation tools that we can use to get us out of our mental valleys or traditional ways of thinking is called WORDPLAY. Wordplay helps us to think differently about a particular word or concept. It also allows us to understand what certain words mean for other people. For example, when doing a wordplay on the word change, some people might associate this with exciting or satisfying, whilst others may have more negative thoughts about change like stressful or hard work. To do a wordplay, simply write the word or concept you want to work through in the middle of a piece of paper and ask the group what this word means to them or what they think of when they hear this particular word. Write what the group say around the word they're working through. 7 ways is a very fast and effective way of generating a lot of ideas in a very short space of time. It allows all members of the group to have a voice. To do a 7 ways, each member of the group will need to be given 7 sticky notes. They then have 2 minutes to write down as many ideas as they can, 1 per sticky note. After doing this, an affinity diagram can be used to group and theme the ideas and identify which ideas can be further developed. Be Someone Else can be a fun way of helping people to get out of their mental valleys or traditional ways of thinking. Just like with wordplay, write your chosen person or business in the middle of a piece of paper. Ask the group to list some of the characteristics of the person or business first, and then get them to come up with ideas as to how this person or business would deal with XYZ, keeping in mind the characteristics listed earlier. 6 Thinking Hats is a structured way of evaluating ideas. You can use 6 thinking hats to evaluate the main ideas or themes that resulted from your 7 ways or Be Someone Else. One person will be the blue hat facilitator and is responsible for writing down what the rest of the group say and ensuring that the group only spend 2 minutes discussing each hat. With your pen and paper ready, the team will go through each of the hats in turn and evaluate the positives, negatives, gut feelings, information needed, and any new ideas that might have arisen. If you're watching this video and need to complete your assignment for session 4, you will need to identify setup activities required to deliver your product or service and work through the setup reduction form. Create the standard process description for setup reduction on the standard process template. You will also need to identify a defect that affects daily operations or patient care in your area, and then work through the mistake proofing form. Create the standard process description for mistake proofing on the standard process template. And finally, you'll need to teach the definitions of creativity and innovation to a group, and then choose 2 techniques from wordplay, Be Someone Else, or 7 ways, and then lead the group through them. Use one of the ideas generated from your chosen technique to then go through a 6 thinking hats with the group. If possible, test and then implement the idea. And take pictures of all of these activities taking place. This is the end of the refresher course. If you have any questions, please contact your coach or email us at sm-kpo.